Hey there, deep divers. Welcome back. Today we're going to be diving into something I think is really transformative for a lot of people, unlocking the English language.
Yeah.
But, forget those dusty old grammar books, maybe the endless verb lists you remember from school.
Oh, definitely.
Our mission today is really to cut through all that noise and get right to what really works. We're going to try and uncover some impactful, sometimes surprising strategies, especially if you're someone who feels, I don't know, a bit hesitant, maybe a little shy when it comes to actually speaking English with confidence.
Right.
This isn't just about learning rules. It's about finding methods that genuinely click for you, the ones that actually work to change how you connect with the world.
And that's exactly why this topic is just so critical right now. I mean, the world is so connected. Information is flying everywhere. Being able to communicate across cultures, across borders, it's not just nice to have anymore. It's almost, well, essential. Learning English effectively, it's not just about, putting something on your CV.
Right.
It's really about accessing this power almost, a gateway to opportunities, information, ways of thinking that go way beyond just basic conversation. We're going to explore how mastering English can genuinely reshape things, careers, travel, learning, even just how you see the world.
Okay, let's unpack this then right from the get-go.
Yeah.
What actually makes someone decide to, start this journey? It can be tough, but it's usually really rewarding. It's not always simple. There are usually some pretty powerful reasons driving people. From what we've seen looking at, personal stories and stuff, it often boils down to a few main things.
Yeah.
First, and this is the big one for many, is aiming to seriously improve job prospects. Not just getting any job, but maybe climbing the ladder, getting into international companies, or even starting a global business.
Absolutely. Career's huge.
Then there's the really appealing idea of traveling internationally more easily. Making trips smoother, sure, but also just deeper, more real.
Yeah, more authentic.
And for students, it's often about study abroad. Getting into maybe top universities or accessing research that's only in English.
Crucial for academia.
And, more and more, especially now with everything online, it's about connecting with more people, making friends, joining communities, often through social media.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is just how deep the impact of each of those reasons can be. Take the career thing.
Yeah.
English skills aren't just a bonus now in many fields. They're often like non-negotiable if you're in a multinational company. Internal emails, meetings, client calls. It's mostly English.
Yeah, the common language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So fluency can directly affect your salary, your chances for promotion, how far you can go globally. Think about tech coding languages, online forums, documentation. It's all English-driven. Or finance. Global markets run on English communication. And travel. It's so much more than just ordering coffee. It lets you actually talk to local people, understand the culture better, hear their stories. You stop being just a tourist and become more like, well, an actual visitor, having real exchanges.
Transforms the whole experience.
Completely. And for academics, knowing English means you can read the latest research papers, often only published in English, connect with scholars worldwide. It's massive for intellectual growth.
Opens up so much.
And that last point, connecting online, English is basically the internet's main language. It's the bridge to finding people with shared interests anywhere, understanding different viewpoints directly, no filter. It builds empathy, connects global communities. It's about accessing information and people directly.
Sometimes the whole thing starts with something really small, almost unexpected. I heard this story once, maybe you've heard similar ones, about someone who just wanted to watch their favorite movies without subtitles. That's the only goal initially.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
No big career plans, no travel dreams yet, just wanting to really get the film, catch the jokes, the tone in the original language.
Right.
But that small thing, that personal goal, it kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
It led them to realize, wow, this isn't just about movies. It opens up this whole new world of possibilities, understanding, connection. It's amazing how often that happens, right? A little spark leads to something huge.
That aha moment Starting with movies, it's a perfect example of like cultural immersion, isn't it? And consuming media authentically.
Yeah.
When you can watch or listen without translation, you're getting the creator's actual intent. You appreciate the story more, sure, but you also catch the subtle stuff, the humor, the cultural nods, the way people really talk, stuff that just gets lost in translation.
Totally.
That direct connection, it really does expand your worldview. Makes you understand other cultures on a deeper level. It shows how just following your interests can be this incredibly powerful driver for learning, Keeps you motivated.
Okay, so once you've got that why,
Yeah.
that deep reason that's going to keep you going,
Hmm?
it's time to build the foundations.
Right.
And for language, the absolute bedrock, the starting point, has got to be vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously getting to grips with words.
Mm-hmm. Essential.
But it's not just about like collecting words in a notebook. It's about activating them,
Yeah.
making them really yours.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting, actually. There's this method that seems so effective, it basically helps hardwire the new language into your brain, makes recalling it almost automatic.
Yeah.
The core idea is consistent vocabulary building.
Mhm.
And we're talking specific, actionable stuff here, aiming to learn, say, 10 to 15 new words every single day.
Okay.
But like I said, it's not just staring at a list. It's a whole multi-step approach.
Right. And the science behind this multi-step thing is pretty solid, actually. It goes way beyond just, flipping flashcards.
Yeah, so
Well, you first encounter the word, then you actively work to understand what it means. Then, crucially, you see it used in a real sentence. Context matters. And the final piece, which is super important, is saying it out loud.
saying it aloud.
Okay. Think of it like creating pathways in your brain, right? Seeing the word is like walking the path. Understanding it is maybe jogging it. Seeing it in context is like driving down it. And saying it aloud, that's like building a little rest stop there, making it permanent.
Ah, I like that analogy.
It's engaging multiple senses, visual, semantic, auditory. That creates much stronger memory traces. And saying it aloud, that's active recall. It forces your brain to pull the word out and use it, which really locks it in.
Makes sense.
And, when you're choosing those 10, 15 words, don't just pick random ones from the dictionary. Focus on words you'll actually use, high-frequency stuff, or words related to your job or hobbies. And look for collocations, words that naturally go together, like make a decision, not do a decision, learn them in chunks.
Okay, let's make that concrete.
Yeah.
Take a word like consistent. So first, you find out what it means steady, reliable, doesn't change much.
Right.
Then you find or make an example sentence, maybe something relevant like, if you want results, you have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Context.
And then the key step, you say it out loud,
Yeah.
consistent. Maybe even use it yourself right away, talking to yourself like, okay, I need to be consistent with this vocabulary learning.
Exactly. That immediate use makes it stick. It connects the abstract word to your actual life, moves it from just passive knowledge to something you can actively use.
Yeah, practical relevance.
And that word consistent, it's perfect because it's not just about language, is it? That principle applies to learning any skill.
Sure.
Consistency is all about forming habits. It's the compound effect, Small efforts every day add up massively over time. Learning 10 words might seem tiny today, but after a few months, you've got a huge active vocabulary. It's that discipline, day after day, that gets results.
It's like building muscle bit by bit.
Precisely. It's the same habit loop.
Yeah.
Cue, routine, reward.
And speaking of cues, here's a really practical, almost effortless tip that came up. Using your phone's wallpaper to display a new word each day.
Oh, that's clever.
Think about it. How many times do you look at your phone? Loads. Right.
Constantly.
So if a new word, maybe with its meaning, is just there, every time you unlock it, it's this constant, subtle exposure. A great way to build vocab without it feeling like hard work. Almost like learning in your sleep, but while you're awake.
That taps right into what we call ambient learning or environmental immersion.
Ambient learning, okay.
Yeah, it's about setting up your environment so you're just surrounded by the language passively. That wallpaper is a constant little nudge, a reminder. Your brain naturally picks up on repeated things, even if you're not consciously studying it. It keeps the language floating around in your head, primes you to notice it elsewhere. It makes learning feel less like a separate task and more just part of your day. You could also, change your phone language to English, put sticky notes around your house, create your own little English bubble.
I like that, an English bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the word-by-word building, there's the more maybe fun side. Immersive learning through media.
Ah, yes, the enjoyable stuff.
Engaging with English movies, songs, YouTube. It's not just killing time. It's actually a really powerful kind of sneaky learning tool. Uses your interests to help you learn.
Hugely powerful. But you need a bit of a strategy to get the most out of it.
Right, not just passive watching.
Exactly. Many people start with subtitles in their own language, which is okay for, understanding the basic plot.
Yeah, gets started.
But the really crucial steps are moving to English subtitles, and then eventually the goal is no subtitles at all.
Taking the training wheels off, basically.
Precisely. Gradually removing that support forces your brain to work harder at understanding the spoken sounds. If you rely only on native subtitles, you might just end up reading and tuning out the English audio.
Makes sense.
Removing them pushes your listening skills. You go from passive listening, where the subtitles do the work, to active listening, where you are decoding the sounds. Both have a place, but active listening is where the real improvement happens.
So how do you make it more active then?
You could try things like shattering. Listen to a short bit, pause, and repeat it, trying to copy the sound and rhythm. Or just pause and repeat lines you like or find tricky.
Shadowing. And with that, for finding content,
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like there's just too much choice.
Yeah, analysis paralysis.
Any recommendations came up?
Yeah.
Particularly for maybe beginners or intermediate folks?
Yeah, a couple of classics were mentioned, good starting points. Friends is often recommended.
Oh, Friends. Of course.
It uses really easy, funny, everyday English. Just normal conversations, simple situations, usually clear speaking.
Relatable stuff.
And The Office, the US version, also got a mention. Simple dialogues, workplace situations, still pretty accessible, but slightly different style.
Right. Sitcoms seem good for that.
Exactly. Sitcoms are great pedagogically. They give you natural conversation flow, common idioms, slang, stuff textbooks miss. Plus, you get context clues from what's happening on screen, body language. It helps you guess meanings. And you absorb cultural references too, which is important for real communication. It makes the language feel alive.
Yeah, not just words on a page. And it's not only entertainment, right? There are also dedicated learning resources. The BBC Learning English podcast was mentioned.
Absolutely. Resources like BBC Learning English or Voice of America Learning English, they're brilliant complements to movies and TV.
How so?
Well, the shows give you the natural, organic language. These podcasts or websites often give you clearer explanations. They might break down grammar points, explain idioms clearly, give pronunciation tips, discuss news in simpler English.
Ah, so they bridge the gap.
Exactly. They combine that natural exposure with more direct instruction. Helps clarify things you might only half understand from just watching. It's a good mix.
And I think it's so important to remember this doesn't happen overnight. Improvement is slow, gradual.
Oh, for sure. Patience is key.
There was this great personal story someone shared about starting with Harry Potter, watching it with subtitles first.
Familiar story, yeah.
And just slowly getting better. Watching it again and again, first with native subtitles, then English, then finally without any. It really highlights that it's about celebrating the small wins, right?
Definitely.
Like understanding a phrase you missed before, getting a joke without reading it. Those little moments build up.
That journey, starting with something familiar like Harry Potter, it's a perfect example of what linguists call comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input.
Yeah, the idea is basically that you learn best when you get input listening or reading that's just slightly above your current level, but you can still understand most of it because of the context or visuals or because you already know the story.
Ah, okay. Like lifting weights.
Yeah.
Start small, gradually add more.
Exactly like that. You wouldn't start with the heaviest weight. You need that context, that familiarity to help you make sense of the new bits of language. It stretches you just enough without being totally overwhelming. Repetition helps too.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about getting English in, filling the tank, so to speak.
Input.
But then you have to actually use it, right? Output. And speaking. That's often the scariest part for learners.
A big hurdle for many, yeah.
But what if the first step, the easiest, most accessible step, only involves you? Talking to yourself.
Exactly. It sounds a bit strange maybe, but apparently it's super effective, just talking to yourself in English.
It really is. It's incredibly effective because there's zero pressure, no audience, no fear of making mistakes, just you practicing.
Right.
It helps you build that inner voice in English, which is so important for fluency. You practice forming sentences, trying out words, even correcting yourself, all without anxiety.
So what would that look like? Oh, simple stuff. Narrate your actions. Okay, I'm making coffee now. Need the filter. Or your thoughts. Right. What's next on the list for this deep dive? Just verbalizing everyday things internally or quietly aloud. It builds confidence, speed, makes real conversations feel less daunting later. It helps build automaticity speaking without thinking about every single rule.
Okay, talking to yourself. Good starting point.
Yeah.
Then what? Maybe talking to other people.
The next logical step, yeah. And there are tools for that. Apps like HelloTalk or Tandem came up. They're specifically designed for language exchange.
Right, connecting learners.
Exactly. You find people who speak English and want to learn your language or just other learners to practice with. The big benefit is you're usually talking to people who get it. They're learning too.
Creates a supportive vibe.
Totally. Mistakes are expected, even encouraged. Everyone's in the same boat, which lowers that fear of judgment. You feel safer trying things out, getting feedback.
Any tips for using those apps effectively?
Yeah, definitely try to find partners with similar interests. Makes conversations flow better. Don't be afraid to start chats. And be patient. People have different accents, different levels. It can take time to find good, consistent partners, and time zones can be tricky. But the practice with real people, invaluable for fluency. It helps you refine your own unique way of speaking English, your interlanguage.
Interlanguage
Okay.
and beyond. Apps, maybe local meetups or tutors.
Yeah, absolutely. Language exchange meetups if they exist near you, or online tutors for more structured practice. Lots of options.
Okay. And then there's this other idea, maybe the next level up for really embedding the language,
Yeah.
actively thinking in English.
Ah, the big cognitive shift.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
hard. How do you even start doing that, and why is it so important?
It is a big shift, but it's kind of the marker of real fluency. It means you stop translating in your head, thinking in your native language, then converting it.
Right, that mental step.
Thinking directly in English bypasses that.
Mm.
Your thoughts, your reactions, they happen in English. So you respond faster, more naturally. Conversations just flow better, less mental effort.
So how do you start?
Small steps again. Start by just mentally narrating your day, but in English, okay? Walking to the bus stop now.
Mm.
Or look around you and mentally label things. Blue car, tall tree.
Mm.
Then try more complex things. Mentally plan your evening in English. Replay a conversation you had, but think about your responses in English. Try solving a simple problem in your head using English. It feels slow and clunky at first, maybe even a bit silly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it's incredibly powerful. It's like rewiring your brain to operate in English as a default setting for certain thoughts. The practical first step, just try labeling things mentally. Be consistent. Don't worry if it's perfect. Just try to make thoughts happen in English.
Okay, that makes sense. Start small. Now, we've focused a lot on listening and speaking, but we can't forget the other two, right? Reading and writing. Need all four for a balanced approach.
Absolutely crucial. All four skills reinforce each other.
For reading, the advice seemed to be start simple, like maybe children's storybooks or comics, things that aren't too intimidating.
Exactly. Graded readers are fantastic for this. They're books written specifically for learners, using simpler vocabulary and grammar matched to different levels.
Ah, so they build you up gradually.
Precisely. You get the satisfaction of reading a whole book, but without being constantly overwhelmed. It builds confidence and vocabulary step by step. It's that comprehensible input idea again, but for reading.
Right.
Then as you improve, you can move on to, news articles online, blogs about things you like, maybe easier novels. The key is active reading. Notice new words, guess meanings, maybe quickly summarize a paragraph in your head.
And for writing, that can feel like a big hurdle too. But there was this really practical idea, journaling about your day in English. And a specific challenge, write your daily routine for 7 days, and you'll notice improvement.
Yeah, that's a brilliant starting point. Consistent daily writing, especially about something familiar like your routine, has huge benefits.
Like what?
Well, first, you're actively using grammar, constructing sentences over and over. It helps solidify those structures. Second, it forces you to find and use vocabulary you have to search for the right words, which makes them stick. Third, you start developing your own voice in English, expressing your thoughts directly.
And the routine makes it easier because you don't have to think about what to write.
Exactly. You know your routine, so you can focus your mental energy on how to say it in English. It removes one layer of difficulty. Once that feels okay, you can write about other things, opinions, past events, future plans, whatever. Getting feedback is good too, from a language partner or even grammar tools.
Okay, this is all great practical stuff, but let's talk about the mindset.
Yeah,
Because let's be real, learning a language is hard.
it really is.
The struggle is part of it. And it's so important to get this. Everyone struggles. You will make mistakes. And that is completely normal. It's not failure. It's just learning.
Absolutely. Connecting this to the bigger picture, the psychology of learning is huge here. Resilience is key. And maybe counterintuitively, you have to actually embrace mistakes. See them as necessary, not things to avoid.
Embrace mistakes.
Yeah,
Easier said than done sometimes.
it is. But it's about adopting a growth mindset, as Carol Dweck calls it. Believing you can improve rather than aiming for perfection right away. Perfectionism is paralyzing. It makes you afraid to try, afraid to speak.
Yeah, that fear is real.
Normalizing mistakes reduces that fear. Every error is just data. It shows you where you need to adjust. You wouldn't learn to ride a bike without falling off, right? Language is the same. You need those stumbles to figure things out.
Yeah.
It's about deliberate practice, noticing errors and learning from them.
And that personal story we mentioned earlier about someone feeling embarrassment, confusion, but improving over time, that really hit home.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Fumbling for words, misunderstanding, feeling totally lost. It feels awkward, maybe even humiliating sometimes.
Yeah.
But that story shows that pushing through that discomfort, that's what the actual learning happens. It's proof you're stretching yourself.
Beautifully put. And it connects perfectly to that quote, fluency doesn't come from perfection, it comes from making mistakes daily.
That's a powerful one.
It really redefines fluency, doesn't it? It's not about speaking like a textbook, flawless grammar, perfect accent.
Yeah.
That might come later or not. Real fluency is about effective communication.
Can you get your point across? Can you understand others?
Exactly. Can you keep the conversation going? It's about the flow of ideas, the willingness to connect, not the absence of errors. When you truly accept that mistakes are the path, not roadblocks, it frees you up. You speak more, you try more, you learn faster. Your brain needs those mistakes to recalibrate. So yeah, embrace the stumbles. They mean you're learning.
Okay, so bringing this all together,
Yeah.
what does this mean for you listening right now? We've covered a ton today, from finding your why to daily vocab, using media, practicing speaking, writing. The great thing is it's all stuff you can actually do.
Yeah.
You can start today, pick one or two things that sounded good to you.
Yeah, just to quickly recap the main ideas. First, consistency. Small bits, often, it adds up.
Right.
Second, lots of input, different kinds listening, watching, engage your brain.
Immerse yourself.
Third, active practice. You have to speak it, write it, produce the language.
Use it.
And fourth, that mindset. Be resilient, be kind to yourself, and embrace those mistakes. They're your teachers, those four together. That's a solid framework.
Love it. So, to help you get started right away, here's a little challenge for you, our deep divers.
Okay.
Today, learn just 5 new words. Use that method. See it, understand it, find an example, say it loud, just 5.
Doable.
Then, watch one scene of a favorite movie
Yeah.
or a short YouTube clip in English, maybe with English subtitles first, or go wild, try without.
Nice.
And tomorrow, try to tell someone, anyone, your cat, yourself in the mirror, what you did today in English. Just take that step.
Great challenge. And maybe just a final thought to leave you with. As you do this, as you learn English using these kinds of strategies, think about how it's not just about learning vocabulary or grammar. It could genuinely open up whole new ways of seeing the world, connecting with people, understanding different cultures. It might broaden your perspective in ways you can't even imagine yet. It's more than a skill. It's potentially a key to a much wider world, a lifetime of discovery. So, yeah, go for it. Embrace the journey, mistakes and all.